Hi and welcome to the webinar and 3D podcast. And today you can see that we are somewhere else than in our usual studio, and we're off-site today. And with us have we Team Samsonite. So I will let you, Edouard, please, who are you? What do you do at Samsonite? And where are we right now?
Yes, hi Ricard. So welcome here at Samsonite. So we are based in the epicenter of luggage and backpacks innovation here in Belgium. So this is our headquarters for Europe. We are actually located right next to the factory, the plant that still produce made in Europe luggages, and we also close by the European distribution center, from where all the goods are reaching the consumer in the 20 European markets. So this is where we are.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. And we also have, who else with us from Team Samsonite?
Yeah, hi guys. So I'm Joeri. I'm part of Edouard's team. So we're basically a central digital and e-commerce team here in Europe, working for all European markets, cross-brand. My specific role is digital marketing, so taking care of all the digital advertising across different platforms, and basically also all the content creation for the several websites we have.
Awesome. And we have a special episode today where we're going to go deep into what Samsonite are doing in the different channels. But first, let's not forget.
Yeah, you recognize me by now. Matthias, head of CS. Pleasure to be here. So nice to be on site and be somewhere else than our regular studio. I've really looked forward to this.
Awesome. But let's kick off. And like Simon Sinek says, we should start with the why. So you have experimented with 3D for quite some time. Why? What's the reason?
Yeah. So if I take this one, it's true that I believe we were kind of early adopter when we started 3D experience across our digital platforms, mainly the brand websites. That goes back to 2017 probably, so a while ago, so yeah, 7 years ago. This was probably early stage, and despite the fact that we thought it was a nice innovation, the vision was there, we were somehow struggling to scale it, but I will come back to that later. So why we started in this direction, using 3D scan or 3D files, is because we wanted to break the digital barrier that you sometimes may face as a consumer. You are behind your screen. You can't always fully understand, fully evaluate the product. Maybe the product is not very familiar to you. It's not a product you are buying frequently. You don't have maybe somebody next to you to guide you through the feature. You see some 2D pictures. It's not always easy to understand. So when we wanted to bring it, we thought that it's not about satisfying the customer, it's about delighting it. So this is a nuance that we like to bring. Everybody expects to be satisfied, but few expect to be delighted. And that's what we try to bring with this 3D content direction, so that was the main starting point of uplifting the experience, the digital experience, to get closer to what you can sometimes have in store. And another more practical and more economic reason was that it's a good way to avoid returns, or to minimize return, should I say. So basically, when you understand better the product that you buy, you are more reassured. So that's a whole game of reassurance online. There's many things that can happen. You are a bit unsure. And so you minimize this risk. Therefore, you have more confidence. You make the transaction, and there is less of a gap between what you've seen on screen and what you see in reality when the product reaches your home.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And this episode is going to be because we're going to learn so much of what you guys are doing, because it's so broad. So let's go into, because there's two sides. Let's say we have a content and marketing side, and then we have the e-commerce side. So let's start with the marketing and content side. What are you doing in terms of 3D and AR technology in your content production and marketing. So let's dive into that.
Yeah. So if you look at AR 3D today, what we do, of course, we have many products, as you can see. What we do today is when we launch our products, we always try to bring as much as possible the features and the detail of the product towards the customer. We try to do that both in advertising on our website, in our newsletters, any touch point. Basically, we try to bring as much as possible the detail of the product. So today we already have 3D videos from our hero collections available, which are very detailed, which are basically more looking like a real animation video where you go through the product and so on. But as Edouard mentioned, the next step for us was how can we uplift this, bringing this to more collections, because we were always limited to like 3-4 collections. So over the past, I would say year and a half, I was looking into many vendors on the market, which do great things, which have very nice solutions overall, but they always had like a kind of a limitation, which always was a problem for us, and that was the scalability of it. So you know we have many products, they all have a lot of colors, a lot of sizes. So for us, it was always a problem, like, okay, we have this one collection, how can we bring this to many more on our website? So most of the vendors had a solution which was very nice for, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 products, but as soon as we wanted to scale it, there was an issue. It was very time consuming, it costed a lot of money, obviously. Some of them started to model the product from scratch, so it didn't look exactly how it was, the colors were not correct, and so on and so on. So we tested many of them, and then obviously we bumped into your solution where we immediately saw, okay, from what we started here, we can quite quickly go to much more products, and how the product looks is actually very, very close to how it is in reality. So today we're definitely starting with implementing this, as you can see on our website, but next to that, using these same models within our advertising, so Meta, YouTube, TikTok, name it, all of the social channels, is also a big added value, because we see in our advertising results that those specific assets work very well. So people really click on them to come to our website and to experience the product itself. So that's really an added value on top of the whole experience on our website.
Yeah, and why do you think that is? Like, is it more engaging? Can you have a different layer on that type of content that you just mentioned?
Well, it's something we notice not only in our advertising, also organically. As soon as we show a product, even only a product, it works often a lot better in terms of engagement. People like it more, click it more, comment it more, probably because they see the detail, they see the color in a nice environment. So adding this on top of our advertising was just like obvious, just giving them really the product and how it looks, because we're very strong in our product. So we just want to showcase all the features we have, very detailed.
Yeah. Hopefully, I think it's also related to the fact that our product looks good.
Yeah.
So that's also an important starting point, exactly. And credit to our designers. So the material, the colors, but it's true. It's we spent a lot of effort, energy into creating campaign and creative messages, storytelling, and that's important to build the full environment. But we noticed that indeed the product appeal is there. People want to understand, want to discover better what it can bring, what it can change in their life. So we are a very product-centric organization. We spend a lot of energy into innovation. And that's why we thought that, okay, we do all this stuff around the product when it comes to innovation, but how can we also innovate when it comes to the experience? And that's what we are trying to do by producing richer content, providing better interactive experience online, to also be able to innovate on that spectrum.
Yeah, because then we segment into. Do you have anything you want to say regarding the marketing? Because I want also get your perspective, because you have worked at Fibbl a lot longer than I have. Product, the CS part. What do you think? What do you see from like your perspective on the marketing and content side?
No, but I sit here and enjoy every word of it, because I think this is really putting Fibbl to the test of what we were built for. Like, everyone can do 3D, but you mentioned the scale numerous times, and I think we see the same thing in the marketing. I don't know exactly how many assets we delivered, but like we did one video animation and 3 different aspect ratios, so we did it for X amount of products. And I think for you to do that manually is not simply feasible. So I just enjoy hearing like your desired outcome becoming a reality, and that we can show what the technology is built for. It's just a pleasure to see. And also from my perspective, you know, I'm a huge hobby designer and UX and UI nerd, and the first time that we went here and started to look at your website and how we can implement Fibbl, it was such a match made in heaven, because I could already see from the philosophy that you had that you really want to help the consumer to make a smarter decision. You have those like airlines tags about what goes into the cabin luggage and so everything like that. You have a very clear size guide, like 2 day, 1 week, 2 week, like all of those details, and you compare that to other luggage brands. You could think that that's a necessity and that everyone has it, but I don't see that. And getting the honor to having 3D and AR on top of that, to just spice it up a bit, it's such a pleasure to see.
Yeah, and let's go into the e-commerce side. Like, what are you doing in terms of the e-commerce as of now?
So first of all, the e-commerce is clearly at the forefront of everything we do here. It's a clear focus channel. It's growing fast. Consumer behavior is also pushing it in this direction, and we have to put the resources, to put the team, the budget in perspective with that ambition. So that's why we try to, indeed, like Joeri mentioned, pick the right vendor, build the right ecosystem. We are not a technology company by definition. We are good at product, right, and consumer, and we are trying to find the right match between the demand, the audience, our skills when it comes to product. When it comes to technology, we have to rely on partners that develop the technology so that we can focus on the consumer needs. So picking the right vendor is always a tricky decision, a tricky process. But we build this ecosystem on UX, on CRO, on the voice of the customer, in order to really understand better what do they expect, where are the friction, so we are trying to build a frictionless journey. So from the very first start of the ads to the landing on the site, on the PDP, on the PLP, on the checkout, and hopefully on the transaction with the delivery and payment methods. So everything is really taken holistically as an experience and a journey, when you were asking earlier about why people may like and may engage more with 3D content, I think it's also we have our role is to guide them, to inspire them, to sometimes educate them about some size restriction or things like that. But we also sometimes need to let them keep a bit of control. So they like to choose that if I want to go right or left, I will do so with my thumb or with my mouse, but I will still be in charge. And I think this immersive, this interaction enable that because it's like when you are in the shop. Sometimes you also like going around the shop by yourself, taking the product without maybe necessarily a shop assistant by your side, because you want to check the details. And here you can do that because you say, okay, now it's me, and I will move the product, up or down, or right or left, and I will zoom in and I will check what I want to see and not necessarily what I'm being shown. So I think this is more and more consumers are demanding because they want to have a critical eye, a personal judgment. What we've noticed is that consumers are searching a lot more than in the past before making a purchase. So it sometimes translates into more spending in advertising because you need to have more impression and more clicks and not necessarily immediately the transaction, because their research is a lot stronger, a lot more complex, a lot more information, And that's the paradox, because we are surrounded by so much data points as a consumer. How do you choose? And you have the famous paradox of choice. I know it suddenly paralyzes you because you say, oh, what I do? So when you give back control through 3D experience, I think you give back freedom. And they say, oh, finally I can, browse like I want, and if I want to check the wheel here, or the pull handle, or the zipper, I will be able to do so very naturally and very instinctively.
Yeah, and that's. I know that this is something that you have talked a lot about, giving the control of the experience to the consumer.
Yeah. Sometimes when we speak with customers or potential customers, they say that what we are doing is cool and new and it's fantastic and innovative, but in reality, it's just a physical store online. So I really like your expression there.
And to bridge that gap, and I like the word you used, like frictionless, from the first ad until the checkout. And that's like, yeah, it sounds easy, but is it really that easy to create, or is it really hard to create that whole funnel?
Well, it's definitely we're coming a long way. I would obviously say it's we're doing it step by step. We're learning, continuously optimizing. So it's not an easy task, I would say, to go from start to finish and have an ideal road for the customer. But by doing everything digital, obviously you have a lot of numbers, figures, where you can see, okay, where does it drop off? Where can we optimize? Which one is working better? And so on and so on. Of course, there's also a lot of AI coming in place when it comes to advertising, showing what is working better and so on. When it comes to the website, I think same story. We're continuously optimizing, like you say. It's we have many customers there. We can see how they browse, where they drop off. So I think this 3D now will definitely learn us, like, where do they intervene with it, and where do they experience the product itself? Does it really convert them or not? So there's definitely a long way we have taken, but I really see a good progress there across the team. So both in advertising and in e-commerce.
Yeah, and I really like the way you talk about your consumers, and like this is something for them to make a good decision. And like now you have been live for a few months on the e-com, on the marketing side. Is there some learnings that you have felt during this period? Like, oh, this has been a big learning for me over this 2-month period. It can be a small thing or a big thing. What do you think?
It was me.
Everybody.
Yeah. Do you want to talk?
Yeah. Well, I think the first learnings and first insights are on engagement. So we noticed that the engagement is going up. So that's reaching the first goal. For the consideration, people are taking action and they are being more engaged. We were, of course, scared of the speed, the famous loading time, especially on mobile. This happened to be not an issue, so we are more reassured on this aspect. Ultimately the conversion, so on the more business side, is also going in the right direction. We will permanently run A/B test because we have new ideas, new feature to run, and we keep saying that our websites are never finished, so they will never be. They will be permanently updated. It's a different mindset to be a bit more agile. And everything has to be put as an hypothesis, an assumption, and then to be verified. But this really developed many more creative perspective, many more ideas. So to bridge with retail, with the website, with the digital marketing, and also the chance or the luck we have. Sometimes we think, oh, maybe it's annoying, but it's still a chance that everybody can contribute. Everybody can check the website, the experience, and contribute, saying that I've noticed this, and maybe here the experience could be better if we do that. And as long as it's raised as a question mark, and less an objective statement, less a subjective statement, sorry, I think it's okay, because then we will verify, we will check, but it's a thin balance with the strategy, the direction we want to go, and the data-driven approach. It's because we need to create something new, to provoke something special, and then we still compare with the data what works the best. But we should sometimes propose something new to the consumer, otherwise we will just keep on selling like we've always sold in the last 100 years. But it's not the reality. So it's like playing a match, where you say, okay, this is my ball, this is your ball, and then you play and you learn a lot more by that. But we need to challenge ourselves, really, to bring something special, and not only what people would expect. So I think there are some famous quotes, if from Ford, saying that if I would have asked my consumer what they would want more horses instead of a new car. So this is a pretty famous one, and that's why people don't always envision what it could be. Mm-hmm. And it's our role as marketers or as e-commerce specialists to go further. Sometimes it fails, but then the whole game is about failing quickly. So in order to rebound,
And you mentioned the word new a couple of times. I have learned a lot of things. But I think we have been here 2 times. We have had weekly meetings, and we always have new ideas that we're gonna work on. We can't mention them here, but I have learned a lot of new things that we're gonna leverage the technology to make a new type of experience. But one very concrete detail is that you guys have challenged us to do a better UX around the components. Very concrete, but like the scrolling behavior on desktop, something that none of our other customers have complained about, but you guys challenged us. We did a new thing. Now we're super happy with that. And just before this session, we had another meeting, and Christian, our CTO, I'm coming home for you. We have a new thing we're gonna develop as well. So I really like that, because it's all in the details, how we can provide a smooth experience around this. We even though we're mimicking the offline store, we need to remind ourselves that it's not the standard yet. You started in 2017, then you were early adopters. I would say that you're still quite early adopters on a scale, because people have not taken that step. So finding those details that make that a smooth experience for the consumer, I think that makes the difference. And that's what I have learned here, to really be picky about the details about the experience. That's very inspiring.
Yeah, for sure.
It's nice to have sparring partners that challenge us.
Yeah, a positive thing I always keep in mind, and which I have from our meetings, is there's endless possibilities. Each time I come out of one of the meetings or the talks we have, you see another opportunity. Oh, we can use it there. Oh, we can activate it here, or we can. So that's like the nice thing of it. And being the fact that we have it at scale now, we can do it for so many products across so many channels. Of course, we still have to activate it, but that's something which, stuck with me along the way of implementing this.
Yeah, and you mentioned like this is new. You're still early adopters. How do you see like the market and consumer adoption of this new type of technology? How do you view that?
Well, I think there's already been a long track as well. If you look at it, 2017, 18. You needed plugins in your browser to sometimes view those type of 3D experiences. Then at a certain point they moved to web-based versions, which were like in the beginning very slowing down your site and so on. Of course you have 3G, which went to 4G, which went to 5G, so now you can much quicker view websites. I think also the experience with smartphones, which is going like through the roof. Everybody has smartphones which have so many features. So I think the adoption of the customer itself with these type of technologies from 2017 to now has changed a lot. A lot more people know in the meantime what 3D and AR is, even though there's still a way to go most probably for AR. But I think there we made big steps already in terms of adoption of technology, innovation, and so on. So I think for customers who visit the site today and who see it, most probably they will quickly understand what's happening rather than what was happening in 2017. And also in terms of speed, technology, we did so many upgrades there along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think indeed the consumers are much more ready, I think, for this behavior and this adoption. Thanks to what we bring on the market, we see that many other players from different verticals are also onboarding this solution and scaling it like we do. So this is helping us, and now it's a challenge because we have to stay on top of our game. We have to stay ahead. So to already look what will bring indeed, what will be the new feature we want to bring, in the coming months, to make the difference. It's about making the difference, and because if it's good that it become mainstream and widely adopted, but we will always find what is the brand affinity to make it more special, because all goods are relatively premium when you think about it. So that's why it's when you buy a suitcase, between 300 and 500 euros, it's a rather it's an investment. We have a qualitative and durable product, but still you want to make sure this is the right purchase for this amount. And as I said before, you need to be reassured. So that's why it's really important that for premium brands like us, we adopt across the board. If cheaper brand, let's say with a smaller price point, adopt it, why not? But maybe the need is less strong. So for us, the need is quite high.
And what do you think about the market? You say, like, we're going to be first with things, we're going to do stuff, we're going to fail, we're going to learn, we're going to do more. So if we think back 10 years, where were we then? And if you look ahead 10 years, where do you think this is going? Gen Z is growing up, they have more money, Gen Alpha is coming, the big tech companies are investing a lot in 3D and AR technology. So this is anyone's best guess, but where do you think we are in 10 years' time? It's a tough one.
That's a tough question. It is.
I always do this to Matthias, and he's like, I don't know. He needs to answer.
No, I always say, I don't know, but I know they need to have a freedom model.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, I will be heavily surprised if we are not shopping through the glasses.
I was thinking the same.
Personally, I don't want to run around with a pair of ski goggles. No offense, Apple, but I want to have those more subtle glasses, perhaps, and experience the product and see the details, the material, how it's made. I know the digital passport is going to be a big thing for 2025. I also want to know that as a consumer when I buy the products. I will be heavily surprised if we're not having a more immersive experience right in front of us without having the device that we're physically holding today. But that's just my guess. I don't know what do you think.
Well, I think it's indeed a very difficult and challenging question. But it seems like the whole process will get more virtual, will get more immersive. This said, at the end of the day, you will still get a physical product, and you will use the physical product as a human being. To go places, to travel the world, to reach new challenge. So it's the whole process ahead will clearly be more digitalized. We still have to bring more services, I think, and it will be about finding what services can be processed with virtual agent, AI, and stuff like that, and what can still be real people, and I believe that's where the difference can come from. For brands like ours, I believe in the added value of an interaction, human interaction, whether it's with a voice, a small conversation. All the material will be really supportive of the experience. But I wish any time now we could bring with an emergency button on a website, you can have really somebody and not just a virtual agent. And that's where all our retail footprint can definitively also benefit from all the work that we are doing on the digital side. So our stores cannot effectively and physically have the stock of all the SKUs we have. So they don't have the stock, they don't have the shelf. There is a space limit. We have less of this space limit in terms of merchandising on our website. I would not say we have none, because you still need to put a limit, coming back to the paradox of choice. But on the store, that can be, endless options, colors, materials, sizes, so that the consumer would still have an answer, even though the product is not physically there. Then it's really working further on omnichannel flows. So in-store order and home delivery with a big screen where you nearly do not make the difference, but you still have a real product next to it to check few things, to be reassured. And then when it comes to maybe the other color or the other size, you just check on the screen, next to the shelf, supported by a shop assistant that guided you. And that's, I think, still a stronger evolution that needs to happen between retail offline and retail online.
What do you think about the marketing side of things when it comes to the advertising formats?
Well, you already mentioned the word AI, which is in one side you would be scared of it, but on the other side, if you're embracing it, I think you can do so many things with it. Already now we see it in a lot of marketing platforms. It's integrated, going from Meta, Google, whatever. All of them have it. We see it also in the results that we're benefiting from it. So basically, it's only an added value, I would say, but you have to use it the right way. Of course, you can't just leave it like that. You still need some human intervention. Same as Edouard said, you have a physical product. I think also there will always be the need to have something. Physical interaction of a person, and not just let the algorithm or whatever do its thing. So there, I think big steps will be coming, most probably in most of the platforms the coming years. Like mentioned in the previous meeting, all the providers already, like Meta and others, looking at how to implement this 3D AR already within an ad will be a big step, I think, because now we have to bring them to the website where they experience it. Imagine you can do it straight within your advertising. I know they're looking at solutions, and most probably in the coming year they will have it implemented in Google Shopping or whatever, where people are already searching and seeing the product immediately. Now we have a fixed image. Imagine if you there have the experience and even the AR immediately. I think that's a next big step, and most probably there will be others, like with the glasses and so on in the future. But I think that's another thing coming.
Yeah, I think so too. And now when I think of it, it's pretty remarkable. I have almost forgot about the thing that you mentioned, that you needed a plugin in the browser to view 3D.
In the past, yeah.
And now when you think of it, after the plugin, it was like the next step for 3D was app. So then you download an app. Yeah. IKEA tried it. Yeah. Not too many people downloaded it. It flopped. Now we're here anyway. It's pretty remarkable that Meta, Snapchat, Instagram, all of these platforms who actually are native apps, that they haven't come further. I know they're working on it now, but it's insane to see that the brand's own websites are further ahead into the product experience than what they are. But I'm sure it will come soon.
I have the impression they face a bit the same problem. They have it most of the time, but not at scale.
Yeah.
So they have it like for certain products or limited to certain brands, for example. But I have the impression they didn't find the solution yet to enroll it to mass market or mass brands to really implement it in their normal advertising formats running across all the products and so on. So most probably that's what they're working on now, I have the impression.
True.
Yeah, I think it's going to be indeed a big step when it's fully rolled out into ads, and it will provide a more unique experience, sometimes more personalized based on their previous journey on our websites, or related to the product they've seen already, or to the CRM segment they belong to, things like that. And so the experience will become more unique, more personalized. In the same way, our product will also become more unique and more customized. So I think we already offer great services when it comes to personalization. So embossing, printing of your initials, engraving on the aluminium pull handle of your name, or whatever you want to write, a phone number, or a quote or whatever. So we see there's a clear desire from the consumer to do so. So we benefit from it because, again, we have the factory and the warehouse here, so we can process it internally and ship it to the end consumer. But I think it will go also one step further. Some brands are already doing a bit of customization, but sometimes it's becoming more only for a few luxury brands. It's harder to scale again, but I think we have a great perspective, for all components, for every detail. You can add on the case with a different color. You can do it by yourself because we have more and more spare parts and more components that are repairable, and you can detach them by themselves because durability and sustainability are key topics for us. So the whole product needs to be repairable, and if they can be repairable, they can be customizable. So if for 1 year or two you are fed up with the color of your wheels, you can say, okay, maybe it's time for orange wheel this time, and it's a bit like, not only replacing the function of the component, but also the perception of the component to suddenly become more unique with your own goods.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Let's see where we are in 10 years. It's going to be super interesting.
Let's book another webinar.
Yeah, let's book another.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, where is 2034? Yeah, let's meet up then. But I think you would want to mention it, and it was one point I wanted to raise, is that the digital product passport is coming, and for a company like Samsonite that takes sustainability very seriously, how do you adapt to the digital product passport?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely it's we are working on it, like many, because we think it's more and more relevant to the end consumer. There's also the EU regulation that will progress in this direction for durable goods. In some markets, you have some more advanced legislation regarding that matter, and for us it's important indeed, because it will totally translate and illustrate all our effort we do on sustainability, and they are there. They are not always visible. We sometimes are considered more like a silent hero because we do many things, but we don't always claim them and boldly, fiercely, but we just do it. So we are working on traceability, of course, for the whole value chain and the whole production, having a clear identification of the carbon footprint of every single component, and this is really I think this is now can sound like an innovation, but I think it will become a standard. And it's not about if you should do it or not. We will do it. Just a question of maybe time and speed. But we are clearly working on some pilots, and there will be the traceability, the transparency, the authenticity, but also the understanding of the product feature through the digital product passport. Because it will become it will also be native. You will have the website experience, but also the digital passport that doesn't also require an app. Very few would download it, and after that, God knows, because you will have the possibility of the resale market and the second life. Because once all our products are already having a serial number, a unique serial number, but we just don't exploit it, and there is no interface. So this let's say wireframes, this DPP would enable to show the product in a unique way using the 3D scan to play with, and to also have maybe to see the repairability score. If you still if there's an issue one day, you have to bring it to the repair store. It's being fixed, and then you see when it has been done. So it will be fully tracking the lifetime of a product.
And it's super cool, and that makes me think about the last time we were here. Like you said, you do a lot in the sustainability, but you perhaps doesn't communicate that, but you do it. It's when we got a tour of your factory and your test lab. It's not in the script, but I just got it in my head, like the way you test the bags. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this, and we were like, what to that extent? So can I don't know who should talk about it, but can you talk a little bit about just the way you test your bags in the factory? Because we were quite blown away.
Yeah, sure. It's when we bring people here, like we did with you, it's always the part where everybody's like astonished. They're like, wow, it's so detailed how you test the zippers, the wheels, you put suitcases in a freezer at -30, then you drop them, and so on and so on. So there's many tests. You have the sand test to check the wheels and so on. But that obviously each time makes people realize what's behind the brand, because they also within the factory can see there's still also manual work, people putting parts on the suitcase, which really shows the quality of the product at the end. And that's really what people always remember when they leave the factory here. So, but the torture room is definitely always the one where people talk about, because seeing a zipper going 1,000 times open and close, then they say, oh, now I understand why my suitcase of Samsonite is still there for the last 20 or 30 years, or even from their parents sometimes, which is definitely showing by going there.
What was the rolling test from here to Oslo, or was it the...
Yeah, in terms of kilometers or something like
sure,
that.
And then the tests were like, this is the guys at the airport throwing the bag.
The tumble one.
It's not in the script. I just thought about it because I think it's super interesting.
And you're right. It's not always visible enough. Also across our touch points. So we are also working on it to say, hey guys, let's bring you behind the scenes, because this is what we do, and in an interactive, in an entertaining way. So we have many videos, sometimes more funny ones, showing the extreme tests that can be done. But it's not an illusion, because the real tests are done here for any new collection, any new innovation, and we do it because one of the fundamental pillars of our relationship with the consumer is the trust. So this is and the trust. Is going, because when you have a product, it cannot let you down. If you are traveling, I don't know if you ever traveled with a broken suitcase in an unknown destination with a missing wheel or something, or maybe the zipper is broken, or the suitcase is open on the conveyor belt. Or this is you don't always travel every day. Well, some yes, but. And our job, our products are made so that they don't let you down in the moment that matter. So this is the moment of truth where they need to perform, and it's always a bit unexpected. Will it be in February or in August? Will it be after 2 months or 5 years? You don't know when something, a more heavy treatment will happen. But this moment will matter, and that's where the product, the features, the quality needs to show up. And I think on this trust aspect, it's when we sell or we promote a product, the trust needs also to be there. The color, the material, the detail needs to be reflected. because otherwise people will be disappointed and they will not come back, or they will order and they will return. That's not what we want. So again, it's always coming back to this trust value.
Yeah. Which brings me to an example. We're sponsoring one of the cycling teams, which have many suitcases. They do travel like every week, millions of kilometers, buses in and out and in and out. Sometimes they have a product which they return, which is broken, but then the people behind it in the torture room, as we call it, they're really curious to know and to understand what happened. So they really do the research afterwards as well to understand, okay, what happened here with this wheel, and they really need an explanation. How many times did you travel with it? Where was it broken? How did it work? And so on. So that also shows the link with the product, the quality, that it's like everything is coming together, showing that it's really, we value it a lot, that the products are top notch.
Yeah, and people care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to give you an opportunity, Matthias, here, before we end. I have one final question for you guys, but for you to highlight something that you think, from your perspective, that Samsonite is doing well.
What is it not to say? But
if you have to cherry pick a little bit here.
Yeah. But I think overall, the way that you directly present, tying back to what you said about the trust, I really, really like when you have a purpose behind implementing this technology. We usually talk about conversion rates and add to cart rates and return rates, and it's just numbers. But at the end of the day, it's a trust and a relationship with the customer. And I think I really see that in the implementation as well, that every single detail really matters for the customer. And I think that's very inspiring to see. That is a bigger purpose behind all of this.
That's awesome. And before we end, I usually ask Matthias this, like in every episode, but today I'm going to ask you guys. So let's say that there are somebody listening now that are not started yet with 3D, but they are curious. From a marketing perspective and an e-commerce perspective, what would your best tips be to get started experimenting with 3D and AR?
Let me think about that one.
Personally, I would say just do it, start with it, start small, test, learn, optimize, scale. I think that's a bit how it started for us. We started small. Of course, it took some time to scale it now, and we learned along the way by implementing other solutions, by seeing other vendors and so on. But I think that's the key to getting it done, because some people are scared of it because it sounds technical to implement it. It sounds technical to have it on your website, but in the end, it's quite straightforward to get it on your website and to get 1, 2, 3 products launched and immediately see the effect of it, and then quite easily you could scale to more. So I think that's definitely one learning I would give to people starting from scratch.
Yeah, and on my end, I think it's absolutely key to first know yourself as a brand. So looking at your values, your foundation, and in front have a clear idea of the consumer, and understand. Yeah, in store or online with some replays, and to understand, okay, what have they done here? What was the issue? So when you already know this, what do we want to offer as a vision, and what to in front the consumer are expecting, or what they might be surprised with. I think it's the starting point, and yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So it's about jumping into it, but also with a clear idea that yes, if we do it, we can scale it. Mm-hmm. Because again, coming back to our journey, we were really proud of bringing it early, but then the frustration came, and then it disappeared. It was not a focus point because it was just on 10 SKUs or 10 products. So what was the point? It became a gimmick, you know. So it was a gadget. It was not really powerful. So that's why I think if you think this through, you go big or go home. So that's what we can conclude with.
Yeah, and it's definitely the way how we looked at it, because we're talking mainly about Samsonite, but in the meantime we scaled it also to the other brands we have in the portfolio. So Tumi has it, American Tourister has it. In the future we'll look into others, but it's definitely the way we wanted to go. Like, not say small, but see the bigger picture.
Awesome. And on that note, we will end this webinar or podcast, depending on where you're watching or listening. And I want to thank you both, Joeri and Edouard, for letting us be here in this awesome store with your products and broadcasting. The first webinar we had in a small room back at our office. So we come a long way. So and if you're listening, thank you so much. And if you're curious to know more, just go into Samsonite's website, check them out, look at what they're doing, follow their marketing.
Buy a bag.
Go for it. Soon is the holidays coming up. So by that, we will just end, and thank you so much to you and for you as listeners.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Awesome.